My name is George C. Wolfe, and I'm the director of Rustin. Rustin is the story of a story of a man named Bayard Rustin, who was the architect of the March on Washington. He is a person who made history happen, and then history returned the favor by forgetting him. And so this is our chance to celebrate, not in a not in a mundane, obvious way, but celebrate in a very human and complicated way a man made, who transformed for in a very specific way American history in terms of politics and culture. And he was also, the march took place in 1963, which is the focus of it. And also, he was a, comparatively speaking, very out gay man in 1963 America. Anytime you choose a project, I think you choose a project, but more often than not, I think a project chooses you. And there was something about his complexity. There was something about the fact that he was so crucial and so phenomenal and then so forgotten that I found incredibly compelling and very moving and very powerful. And I wanted to live inside of that world. Well, there was a script that was in process. They originally spoke to me about writing and directing, but I was also in the middle of editing and working on Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. So the script proceeded, and I was very involved in notes and the whole scenario, and it evolved from there. Because that was the year of the March on Washington, where 250,000 people was the largest peaceful protest in the history of the country, probably conceivably in the world. But I will retract that because I'm not completely sure about that. But and it engaged all of America, and from that, this regional, very smart, very charismatic person was transformed into an international leader and figure, and that was Martin Luther King. And his very close associate was a man named Bayard Rustin, who was the organizational brains behind that march. But probably starting about 10 to 12 years early, I had started to find out more and more about him, and he was just a series of contradictions and really interesting. He had been an activist from the time he was 15. He was the valedictorian of his class. He was also a star athlete. He'd appeared on Broadway in a production about John Henry with Paul Robeson, in which he was one of a 30-person chorus. He, recorded an album of Negro spirituals and Elizabethan songs. He was just this man who had a range of talents and curiosities and ideas, and he passionately pursued them. And he put together this extraordinary event that changed America. I'd worked with him earlier. I known him as an actor for a long period of time. I'd worked with him in my previous film, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And as the work began, as I began to dig into the work and to explore it, it became clear that Coleman Domingo would be perfect. Well, I think Coleman has a natural charisma. I think he is a very commanding energy. I think he's very appealing and has a sense of play and humor about him that I think make him really perfect for Bayard. He can sing. I think he's a baritone, so he changed his voice to become a tenor because he sings briefly in the film. And I just think he had a lot of very natural qualities, so that therefore, when we went on the journey, he and I, but the rest of the cast, in terms of capturing 1963, he proved to be a very fun person to play with and a fun traveler and an adventurous actor. And you always want to look for a cast of adventurous actors because then you know you're going to go somewhere. There are always rules. And so, one of the most tedious aspects of it, in addition to like changing the color of lines that are painted in the middle of the street from yellow to white and all that other sort of stuff, was all these damn actors had holes in their ears because they wore earrings. And so I spent countless hours making sure that I was staring at the holes in actors' ears to make sure they were gone. So that was the most annoying thing about it. But other than that, it was a lot of fun digging into the music and digging into the popular culture and social behavior and how men greeted one another and how people carried themselves. All of that was fun. I think there was a degree of formality in terms of human interactions, so that therefore it was easier to detect when something was happening that was completely and totally incorrect and wrong behavior wise. So that therefore so wrong behavior became startling behavior. And so that was fascinating to play with. If everybody could be a writer, they would be. Thank you very much. So no, if a moment reveals itself, that's fine. But no, if we're not, no, we're not knocking the little like ball all around the field to see where it lands. We know where it's going. Now, how we get there, there may be subtle variations, but no, it's not a free for all. I'm not fascistic. I'm intense. I think you'll have to ask people who see the film. I mean, because my job was not to say look at it now. My job was to say look at it then. And I think, fortunately, in some respects, and unfortunately, it presents itself as how much has changed and how much things have not changed. It's all about him. So it's not. So he's not an automaton who's just doing a job. He put all of who he was. He put all of who he was. He put all the fact that he was a young black man, the fact that he was a young gay man, the fact that he was a young intellectual, the fact that he was a pacifist, the fact that he went to India and studied the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. It's all of that is revealed through the course of the film. I want your entire existence, being, soul, and mind to be transformed.